I really hope that we disagree somehow. Because if we disagree, that's going to be better for you, because you're going to get more of this session.
No, I think it's better if we agree.
No, if we agree, they would not.
I disagree.
Okay. Great. This is something, if I get passionate about it, I have to ask for your apology. Because I've tried for 40 years to deal with that, one thing that is evident for me. And 4 years I failed to make something about that in my university. So I'm going to continue doing that for the rest of what I got left in my life. The analogical thinking. In my opinion, analogical thinking is a lot more educational than logical thinking. Logical thinking could be reduced to instruction. So my question has been always, are we in higher education or in higher instruction? So instruction is one of the necessary means for education. But it's not sufficient. Because you can instruct also a computer. So the instruction is educational in the sense that they make us serve our boss, get a job. This is part of life. Education is to prepare our students for life, not just to serve their bosses. This is a necessary condition because they have to live, and they have to have a job, and they will have bosses. But this is not life. Life is something more than that. So we are confusing the whole with the parts. I thought that that was happening in my university until I started these conferences, and for 20 years I was confirming in almost in more and more conferences here in the United States at least. I'm seeing that they are more instructional than educational. So I suffered that, and he knows that. 2 years ago when I saw my youngest kid being instructed, but zero education, and he was in the best university in Florida in the UF. So this is something that I think, I guess, I'm convinced, but maybe I'm wrong, that university professors should at least consider that possibility that might be right. At least think about it. Even if I am wrong, you conclude that I am wrong. And that's it. But at least think about it. Analogical thinking is everywhere. So these people found 1460, at least 1460 papers trying to prove in the papers that analogical thinking is a necessary condition in this field. Argumentation theory, that means at least law. Okay? Artificial intelligence, that's means also being professor. Okay? Because you have to provide argument to convince the students. Cognitive science, linguistics, mathematics, natural sciences, philosophy, psychology, and others, social sciences. Then they categorize them 1640 paper they found. Categorized it by the following categories: arts or aesthetics, which is evident, the use of analogy, okay? Normative treatments of actions. In action is usual. the analogies. Laws. I mean, if you have, especially the Anglo-Saxon law that is based in jurisprudence, if you can know, if you just know logic, you are a bad lawyer. The law needs logic and analogies, because you have to find analogy with the jurisprudence. Normative treatments of action, law and ethics. And this is based on the casuistic. Oh, I'm sorry, I got some draft for you. I didn't bring it with me. Okay, I have a draft of 18, 19 pages. A draft that starts with abstract, and there is nothing else that's it. So you're gonna think that everything is abstract. No, I just forgot, to put the following subtitle after the abstract, okay? So I got it over there. If you can help me, bring me that to distribute that here. I'm sorry, I forgot that.
That's okay.
So you can get a draft, about 18 pages about what we are trying to say here. Religion or theology, everyone knows that. Language, logic, especially logic. There is more and more and more people saying that you cannot even think logically if you don't implicitly are managing analogics. Not even logics, etc., etc. So there is a complete agreement, not unanimous, but consensus, that logic and analogic are extremely related. The controversy that you can find is that some people insist and try to demonstrate that the logical thinking is part of the logical thinking, the analogical part of the logical. The other group think that the logical thinking is part of the analogical thinking. And that's the controversy. They feel in this controversy like these two things are inclusive. I mean, they are opposite, of course, but they are not necessarily contradictory. Through the system approach and the cybernetic perspective, I propose that, and I believe strongly on that. Just I believe, I can show it, I can give examples, but I cannot prove it. Okay? This takes into account the two positions. Logic as part of analogic, and analogic as part of logic. It takes both position as an intersection. Both of them are required. There is no way to think in both of them. Because the analogical thinking is what you provide you with the hypothesis you need to go to the logical inductive, to the induction, inference. By analogical thinking, you see the hypothesis, and then you make your experiment to see if the hypothesis is right. So the input is analogical thinking, but I need the inductive thinking of the experiment to see if this is right or false. If my analogy is right or false. At the same time, logical thinking provides me with the domains, what is called the source analog. What he was telling this morning about the theory and the case method is theory and case method is exactly the same as saying source analog and domain target, which is the definition of analogy. Two faces of the same coin. The source, analog, and the target. It's exactly the same thing in case study. Almost everywhere you find in different words these two distinctions, theory and case of the theory. Subject and object, this is another word that is, you can find it in case study. Object and subject. But they are all of them, they are meaning the same thing with different theoretical perspective, but the same thing. So there is a cybernetic thing here. Implicit thing. The way I see you, maybe I'm wrong. All that you have been doing is to relate logical and analogical things. I mean, the analogical thinking of yours is so clear to me. That is the input of your logical thinking. This is the real hybrid thinking. I prefer to call it hybrid cybernetic because they fit each other. And fitting each other, they can have negative feedback that correlate both of them, and positive feedback which can create synergies and emergent properties. And you got emergent properties in materiality.
So Nagib,
because you related both things.
what's the intersection? If they're opposites, what's the intersection?
The intersection is the way to explain why these two things could be taken into account. That they are not necessarily they don't necessarily contradict each other, but they can complement each other.
So they're not opposites.
So if we work them as, so they are opposite, but not contradictory. They are polar opposite.
I got you. So
You need one
yeah.
in order to get the other, but you need the other in order to get the one. So they are not a contradiction, they are in polar opposition.
Yeah. So why wouldn't we think of this as a vertical stack, like inductive, deductive, with truth in the middle?
Yeah, all that you are saying is okay, but it's here. Or here. Inductive, deductive, abductive. This is
But
inference.
Two paths. to the
Logical
same truth.
inference.
But two paths to the same truth.
Yeah, but yes, but it's always logic. Inductive logic, deductive logic, and mean logic. There is at least identified ones. I'm not a logician, but I identified at least about 25 different logics. At least. So two of them, the most usual, are deductive and inductive, but they are not just two logical thinking, there is more logical thinking. And means, for example, for the system approach, the end mean logic, which is supreme in the systemic approach. And in the pragmatic, the teleological pragmatic truth, you need the end means logic and not mathematical logic. The mathematical logic is a mean, but the end, and the deduction is a mean, but the end is mean end logic. You see what I mean? So operational research, for example, is mathematical. But the mathematics in operational research is a mean of end means logic, because you have objective and restriction, and you want to know what you want to do.
I have a question now, because I do disagree.
Okay.
And here's why I disagree.
And I'm not paying her.
I think we have a problem with at least our undergrads today, that if they don't have a solid understanding of logical thinking, they can never get to analogical thinking.
Yes.
And I think we
but vice versa also.
But we need to teach them the logical thinking, and they need to master that first before they
No,
can even
no,
begin
there is
to
no first.
understand
You see,
the analogical thinking.
no. There is no first and not. There is no priorities.
But I think there has
No,
to be.
it's a cycle. It's a cycle. You cannot.
I think they have
You
to
cannot
have
make-
mastery of logical
Hey.
thinking first.
You cannot, even the hardest logician, tell you that there is no logical way of thinking without losing the analogical thinking. Even the hardest logician.
I think with complexity, there should never be a dominant way of thinking. I think complexity emerges out of the diversity of.
This is
I think another word is synergies among the two. You know, you want synergy.
If
And
you want
actually, I
energy,
think-
you have to get here.
So,
There is no way.
yeah. And so what Rob was talking about before, that center part, it's almost like a catalyst between the two, is that both of them feed on each other. Somebody who comes with a hypothesis,
Yes.
tries to justify with logic. Someone who comes with logic has to create a hypothesis. So
Cybernetic would say synergy, via positive feedback. The system approach would say emergent property. But you need both of them relating with each
I'm
other.
not saying you don't need analogical thinking, I'm saying they need to understand the logic behind things before they can move to the other side.
And yes, you're right, but also vice versa, which is lacking in education. It's lacking in education.
I agree.
So now you provided me with a psychological pleasure, but I'm not learning from you anymore. Because we agreed.
But if they don't have the logic behind it, they can't.
Behind, can you forget the word behind?
As the basis.
Why not the other way around? I mean, the hardest logician, they recognize that there is no logical thinking without implicit analogical thinking.
Nagib, if I rob you, I'll have more money. That's logical. Will I rob you? The decision depends on my analogical thinking.
Of course. I mean, this 1640 papers that you got, you don't have them here, but you have them at this. You have them at this reference that is in the paper in the draft I gave you. If you can look at that, everything needs logic. Excuse me. And everything needs analogy, not just logic. Okay. Now, the best way, well, not the best way, one of the best way to produce analogies is via interdisciplinary communication. And this is why we have been for 20 years trying to get into interdisciplinary communication like this one. Because when I had to, from let's say, from electrical engineer, I need to talk with the mechanical engineer. In order to have a conversation, I need to use analogies. If I ask Nobel Prize, I need to talk with the people in non-disciplinary terms. I have to use analogies. This is why it's so difficult. This is why it's so few people can say difficult things in easy terms. So it's not easy to speak easy. It's easy to be technical. But the problem about being technical, it's easy as long as you can understand me because you are in my discipline, but you cannot understand me because she is a physicist. You see what I mean? So it's easy to be technical, but it's not easy to say technical thing in an easy way.
Indeed.
So this, in my opinion, this is what sometimes academics escape from talking in a non-disciplinary term. It's not easy. Try it. Not easy. Try to write a book about what we are doing so can my mother-in-law can understand it. Try it. Try it. You have to use analogies. And our mind is more prepared to logical thinking than to analogical thinking. So our brain is, with our education, is growing as a monster, you mean? The right brain is growing and growing and growing, and then the reverse way. The left brain is growing and growing and growing, an analytical one, an analytical one, and then the other brain is atrophying. So we are becoming intellectual monsters. Because that's the definition of monster. If I have this part of my face larger than this part, I am a monster. So if I have my intellect larger than the other one, I am a monster. Intellectual monster. So the thing is to relate both of them. One way, there is a lot of ways. One way to relate it is to try to have conversational session with different disciplines. And this is what I love about the late Bolivar. On the first conference I went to his conference, I was in love with him, and with intellectual love I mean. Because all his conferences were as many as discipline as you can, but all of them are conversational. There is no presentation, just conversational. The problem he had, and the problem I had, when I started doing this kind of thing, is that there is no money for that. There is no promotion for that. That's the problem. So this is why in this conference for 20 years, we've been trying to relate traditional conferences, which are presentations, to interdisciplinary presentation, with things like this that promote interdisciplinary communication. There is no way for me, and I challenge any of you to try to prove me that the opposite. There is no way that I can talk with you with different disciplines without me making analogies. And if you can make analogies, the better.
Nagib Callaos, I share your opinion on this, but I think you have to go even deeper, because you're talking about transferring knowledge, like from teacher to student.
You need analogies.
Yeah, no, but I think your approach also is true for students talking amongst each other in the same discipline. Because if they have not comprehended the knowledge yet, they need analogies to
So
talk amongst each other.
you see now why the collaborative learning is so successful, that the students teach each other.
That's
Why
exactly
is being so successful via internet? You're right.
what John said earlier.
Yeah, you're right. And so this guy here has to understand him, has to be making analogies in his mind. But if both of them are conversing, so both of them are making, are producing and consuming analogies. You see what I mean?
But this doesn't just relate to the academic
Of course not, of course.
environment, the whole world.
Of course. That's the point.
But what was
There is no activity in human being, including the academic, that is not analogical. There is no activity. Not even in the animals. The monkey operates with analogies.
Even in the intervention, you invent something, you need to
Yeah.
picturize that.
Yes, and in no other way.
That is the analogy.
No other way. So if you got two people convinced about the potential learning, what I call analogical learning, which is produced by talking different disciplines, respecting each other in non-technical terms. And if it is a non-disciplinary term, the better, but at least interdisciplinary term. If it is a non-disciplinary term, the better, because you have to make more effort to make better analogies.
But the analogy could be different, and another thing with two people. And the other thing, of course, is that we have learned a lesson that comprehension is a time-dependent thing, because we are changing our comprehension and our view of the world
Then you are
from
here.
centuries and months and years, and it is changing. This is our problem.
You are right. And the logic is changing every day. So you are right, but you have enough input to get into this loop. So what I call hybrid thinking is the person who can move from analogy to, from analogic thinking to logic thinking. Every one of us is doing that. Like it or not, you are doing that. But you will be more productive if you are conscious about the way you are thinking. So you can amplify your capacity in analogical thinking because it's provide the input for the logical thinking.
Perhaps there should be a term when the two circles meet together, or the Venn diagram, the three meet. There's a little sort of
Yeah.
in the inner side.
Yes.
It's a hybrid or blended. So it should be the term that
Yeah.
it both come together. Then it solves the problem of which one is important.
Let me use a metaphor from Ortega said. Logical thinking without analogical thinking would be sterile. Sterile? Non-productive. And at the same time, analogical thinking without logical thinking would take us to a lot of falsehoods.
But do we
But if you use just logical thinking, you have to bring the logical thinking to something that you want to prove. And this something is coming from analogical thinking. So each one of them is like the car that you need the direction and the brakes, and this is logic. But if you don't have the motor, you go nowhere. But if you have the motor and you don't have the wheel and the brake, just a fool would drive it. I'm using, Ortega said metaphor to explain that.
I like the Venn diagram. Another model or analog that I used is the notion of cycles, cyclical. And years ago when I studied design thinking was about analogical thinking and logical thinking, and they were seen as a cycle. Well, now that I deal with complexity, I see innovation and co-adaption not as opposites, but as polar extremes of a continuum, and I see this massive numbers of cycles through analogical thinking and logical thinking be the way that the system both innovates and co-adapts so that complexity emerges.
In my opinion, like it or not, this is what's happening. That if you make that explicit, then you can if you have developed this part, you can dedicate part of your life to develop this part. And if you develop this part, then you can dedicate your life, part of your life to develop this part, you see. So, this is why I used to tell in my university, in the executive council that take decision. I would like to know why an engineer cannot have a subject in poetry. Because a subject in poetry is going to develop his analogical thinking, which he would need in design. Because there is no way to design without imagination and without analogical thinking. 35 years, I never was allowed to play a course, not delivered for me because I am not a poet, but to be given to engineering students with someone from literature. There was no way, I failed all my life. No way. It's the bureaucracy, you know, that, especially because no one will get a promotion for that. There is no grants for that. You don't get promotion. So you have to be a fool to teach poetry to your engineering students. You're never gonna get the promotion. But the poetry is a way to teach analogical thinking. Literature is another way to teach analogical thinking. Art is another way to teach analogical thinking. Why all that thing is not being taught in engineering and in science? Excuse me.
Well, even a long time ago, there was research done, for instance, by people at Mellon University in the AI field, case-based reasoning and analogical reasoning. So I think it's nothing bad about it somehow. Yeah. Actually, I have a clarification question also. I mean, case-based reasoning and analogical reasoning isn't exactly the same. So, would you include case-based reasoning in this analogical reasoning thinking?
This is what we are saying. Case studies and methodologies of case study, I would rather prefer to separate them. If they are related, but different concepts. He got a book on case methods. And so it's different than the case. This is one of the most areas that we have that relate implicitly or explicitly analogical thinking and logical thinking. So case study are the most educational tools that I found in my life. And it's everywhere. It started in medicine. Then after that went to ethics. Then after ethics went to the legal system. And then after that to management. That the origin was in medicine in Egypt. That was the origin. And you can make a case study in any discipline. So it's analogical thinking and logical thinking, but at the same time is a transdisciplinary method because you can apply it everywhere, in any kind of discipline. So it's not multidisciplinary, it's more than that. It's transdisciplinary because it's covered all the discipline that you can imagine. Everywhere. I mean, even if you are not in an academic discipline, you always can make a case study. You can make a study about your marriage. I can make another one, you know. You can make a case study where you just laugh now. Why? That's a case study. Why you are laughing and she's not? You see what I mean? It's a case. You have a case study She is a case study.
Case studies and case-based reasoning isn't really the same thing. Case-based reasoning is something like case-based reasoning.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Similarities or structures.
I find an intersection with all them.
Yeah, but
I don't see it completely different.
in a case study, unfortunately, as a reviewer, I always figure out that
There is
people
case
don't know
study,
the reason, how they
case
do it,
report.
forget about the lessons learned and all this stuff, but it's a different thing than case-based.
Yeah, it's
I was talking
different,
about
but they have an intersection. Exactly like this, the case report. What used to be the case report in medicine, right now is part of case study. Right now. It used to be just report. So the more the medical doctor worked with it, the more was transformed in case study. So it started as report, but it is continuous report, or just report. And case-based study, if you use the case study as methodology and one case as input to this methodology, so it's case-based learning.
Well, if you do your case study and you hopefully do it right and you do a lessons learned thing, but
Yes.
case-based reasoning, you go into a
It's different
repository
concept,
of
yes.
many cases and you
I'm gonna
figure
use-
out the most similar one and then take that and adapt it. That's a different.
You're right, it's different concept, but let me use Aristotle example. Color and surface are completely different concept. Because surface is take you to geometry, and color take you to optics. So it's completely different concept. But there is no surface with no color, and there is no color that is not in the surface. You see what I mean? So the mind, this is why he said that the mind of the people separate what is not separated in reality in order to understand the reality. So you are right, they are separated. But in reality, they can get integrated. And my opinion, and this is just an opinion, I should say speculation, because it's not an experience-based opinion, okay? Is that they complement each other. They are different but complement each other.
Nagib, it's worse than no reward. I served as a chairperson for 10 years of a department called Systems and Decision Sciences. We were funded on headcount. I called up people in arts and sciences and people in the technology area to ask about some joint programs. No.
Yes.
You cannot lose headcount. I worry about resources.
This is the problem.
I cannot do it.
You just, in Spanish we say, you just put your finger in where it's hurting. You just did that.
And those decisions made by state governments who have never talked and no idea.
And it's not just that. There is something more. I mean, not all. Most head of the department, what they are doing?
Pleasing the dean who's...
Not just that, it's even more. They are accountant. All what they do is to count how many papers you have in a journal that I never read, that someone said they are the good journal. It's not even my opinion, it's someone's opinion else. And sometimes the opinion is coming from corporation, being predators of the academic people. So the foreign is worse than that, because the control of the university is in the hand of the publishers. And they are dictating what is good and what's bad. And we are talking about corporation with several billions dollars of revenue each year. That the work is done by you, and by you, and by them. But they require you to publish. Where? In the corporation with the best PR. That's it. That's it. This is the game. game. Now, we have to follow the game. But at least let me follow the game until I get my tenure. And then after that, let me speak. So if I don't follow that, until my tenure, I'm out of the academy. So this is why there is a group now. I didn't know about that group, but 6 weeks ago, which is called Association of Independent Scholars. They want to do nothing with the university. Because they are sick up to here with university, growth. And with rules that they don't accept. There are rules that if you have principles, you cannot accept them even if you are going to be thrown out of the university. Let me give you just an example. In my dissertation, I told you that in my dissertation. I found the solution of the voter paradox, that the mathematical solution of it, that it was in solution for 200 years. This Condorcet discovered it, and no one, not Laplace, not any mathematician who solved it. So a Nobel Prize, Kenneth Arrow, got a book like that when he showed that he proved mathematically that there is no solution to the voter paradox. I had the luck that I didn't read his book. So I solved it via operational research, which was not my thesis, was an operational research. And I showed it to my advisor, and he started laughing and laughing. He was that same guy, my father, my technical project, and I still remember, how this thing, Texan thing was, just going up and down, the way he was laughing at me. I would be. And he said, "You don't know this book?" and throw it in my face. So it was down because this guy, is Nobel Prize. And he showed mathematically there is no solution. So I started to see where are when I erred. And I found out that he has no error. But he got the 5 actions that he got contradict each other. Each one is self-evident that there is contradiction between them. So I presented that, it was accepted in an informal seminar. I said, that was 1 year of dissertation of my PhD. He said, right. He said, no, because this is not the problem I want to solve. I am in Venezuela and I'm going to make a socio-political information system. So I continued. In 2 years I finished what I wanted to do. And then I presented that. And one member of my committee told me, you are graduated, but you have to remove this chapter. What chapter? He said, the one with Carl Jung, because he's not a scientist. I said, why? At the time I had several courses in philosophy of science. I said, why not? He said, he's not a scientist. I said, why not? He did not make any experiment in his life. He's not experimentalist in science, but he's scientist. No, he's not. I'm not going to prove that. So I told him, so Darwin is not a scientist. And Freud is not a scientist. Because no one of them made any experiment. So we started arguing, and he stopped arguing, and I said, I'm not going to approve that. Remove that chapter, and you are graduated tomorrow. I said, I'm going to another university. And left the room. It's a matter of dignity. I'm not going to and I started applying to the university. My advisor found the middle way to do it. He told me to reduce the chapter to a section and to extend even what I got. So he will publish it for me as internal publication, and then I will refer to the internal publishing of the department. I said, he agreed with that. He said, yes, he agreed. Okay, go ahead. And in 2 months, I was graduated. So this is the kind of things of we academics. This is the kind of thing of we academics. And I am not saying that I am not like that. I am one of the many academics that are doing harm to the students. Just going to tell you, we are not harming the student when we are telling them that we are giving them educational, the higher education, and what we are giving them is 99% of higher instruction. So I've been for 30 years telling my students, go and tell your parents you're not getting any education. At least one professor is telling you that we are fooling you. I am fooling you because I have to go across the curriculum that I have to give you. If I don't do it, I can get thrown out. I'm doing that because it's my job. That go and tell your parents to educate you, because you're not getting education here. 30 years I've been telling that. Can you imagine I had to tell that to my daughter? She was in one of my classes. So let's be honest. I was going to say that word. Let's be honest. Are we higher education or higher instruction? I mean, it's okay if we are giving higher instruction, but say it. Don't fool people. Say it. So the parents, they know that we are not educating them. You are understanding me because you are providing not higher instruction, but higher education. You are giving higher education. So this is why, in that sense, you are supposed to agree with me. Because what we are doing is education.
Nagib,
But it is not the common thing.
may I share one more?
Yeah.
It is horrible what we sometimes do, and sometimes we are miseducated and then teach erroneous things. Back when I was teaching at Mississippi State, I submitted an article to a journal that was opposite of one of their publications. It showed that they were proving that state-wise there was no discrimination on salary, where the result made no sense to me. But they used all aggregated data. So I did a counter example with fake data, individual and then aggregated, that showed the opposite when you had it. It said you cannot use aggregated data in these regression findings. And I got a rejection. And it said maybe if you rewrite it. So I went to a friend of mine by the name of Bill Woodall, who became a chair of the stat department at University of Alabama. I said, Bill, what's wrong with this? He said, nothing. He said, maybe my English isn't good, let's rewrite it. He submitted it. It was a pseudo rejection. It was, you didn't use the same data we did, but he proved the point. So we said, can we get the data from you, from the original article? They said, sure. They said, but send us a tape. This is when you had those large tape decks. I sent the tape deck, they never responded. That was the end of it.
Yes. I mean, I prefer not to get in that issue because it's a long issue, and I can summarize it in one metaphor. That I got about 1,000 pages, or columns, written in Spanish, and about 100 pages in English, about what I'm saying in short words. You know what a robot is? Let's take this can. Okay? This can has a diameter and has a longitude. How do you say that? Longitude. Length. The length is one of the property of this can. Other property is green. It's pink, material. One of the property of the can is the length. One way to measure the length is by inches. The other one is meters, etc., etc. Okay? So I cannot confuse the measure with what is being measured, the length. I cannot measure inch with length. But it's worse, I cannot confuse length with can. And this is what we are doing when we measure the performance of the student. They are according to some ways of performance. Performance is one of the attributes of education. So don't tell me that you are measuring the performance of education. Then you are measuring the performance of one of the properties of education. And please don't mix the performance with education. Because something is the can, and other thing is the length, and other thing is the... I learned that the hard way during 20 years because the word information. The word information means a lot of things, especially these three things. Bit, which is a way to measure, channels, weight. Okay? But this is not information. So professors, academic professors, books, everywhere, they confuse A is B with B is A. They confuse Nagib Callaos is an animal with animal is Nagib Callaos. They don't differentiate what Aristotle differentiated between general and special. They mix that in information. This is what happened. And that was a good part of my life. And you find books that in the 2016 making conclusion about one way of measuring information, and according to that, they are deciding an ontological decision that the universe is bytes. If they prove that, it's okay. If they use it as an analogy, it's okay. But don't tell me that the bits and the information are like entropy, because you are confusing informational entropy with thermodynamical entropy, which is nothing to do with at all. It's like confusing me with my brother because both of us we have the last name, the same last name. How many people confuse entropy, thermodynamic entropy with informational entropy, and they have to do nothing? All what they have is a mathematical isomorphism, the way you measure that. That is just a mathematical isomorphism. It's not even analogy. So, I can stay here with that kind of things for...
No, it's also situation.
Okay, the next step. I mean, look at that. This is what he's doing. I don't mean that he's the only one doing that. Okay? This is what she's doing. She has been coming to this conference for I don't know for how many years. And all her research is with students and solving real life problems. And I was, because I did it, but